Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Greatest Record Ever Made. I'm Carl Caffarelli, the co-host of This Is Rock and Roll Radio with Dana and Carl, heard every Sunday night from 9 to midnight Eastern right here in Syracuse on Spark, WSPJ 103.3 and 93.7 FM, and on the web at sparksyracuse.org. I'm also a writer, and I've been working on a book called The Greatest Record Ever Made, Volume 1, dedicated to the notion that an infinite number of songs can each be the greatest record ever made as long as they take turns. And that's what records do. Get it? Good. The announcement this week that the Go-Go's have at long last been named to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inspires this week's Graham Spotlight to cast upon the music of the Go-Go's. I don't want to rant too much about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because we're going to rant mostly about the Go-Go's today. I remain disappointed that the Monkees have never even been nominated. I'm disappointed that the New York Dolls, who were nominated this year, didn't get in, but I'm happy for many of the nominees, especially Tina Turner, Todd Rundgren, and Carole King, and of course, the Go-Go's. I've been a fan of the Go-Go's for a good long time. It's always bugged me that they don't seem to get the respect and admiration that they deserve, not just for being the first all-female self-contained group to reach number one, but for being just a great group. The stuff is great regardless of gender. That's just another check mark on their resume, and they deserve accolades for that. But they were a great group. They're still a great group. Their single last year in 2020, Club Zero, was wonderful. I've been a fan since hearing We Got the Beat was the first Go-Go song I ever heard. I think I heard the original Stiff Records import single on a radio show called 97 Power Rock that aired on Sunday nights in the early 80s on Buffalo's 97 Rock. I also heard of the live version of that, the same arrangement, that was on a collection called Erg, A Music War. So I've been a fan for a good long time. I still have the albums. The original 3 albums have survived my various collection purges. The first album had a crush on Kathy Valentine. Do I still have a crush on Kathy Valentine? My lips are sealed. And, of course, Vacation, All We Ever Wanted. And their final original album, Talk Show, before the acrimonious breakup. And then the reunion. I also have the 45 of Our Lips Are Sealed with its non-album B-side, Surfing and Spying, a song written for the Ventures. The Ventures actually covered it. I think they did it when I saw them live. And of course, all the individual albums on CD, Beauty and the Beat, Vacation, Talk Show, 2 CD anthology of hits, album tracks, and odds and sods, included a couple of then new recordings, including the Whole World Lost Its Head, which is a wonderful track that was also a single. They did it on Letterman. This CD single of that also includes the original Stiff Records We Got the Beat, which differs from the album version that we know here in America. Their 2001 reunion CD, God Bless the Go-Go's, fantastic stuff. I will buy Club Zero, the 2020 single, as soon as it's available in physical form, which I hope it will be sometime soon. DVD of the Go-Go's live in 2001, which includes their cover of the Ramones' I Want to Be Sedated. I was surprised apparently either I don't have or can't find the Rolling Stone cover with them in their underwear on the cover. Some things survive the purge, some things don't. Some things just get lost. But I've been a fan of the Go-Go's for a good long time, and that's why I definitely wanted to give them their due in the greatest record ever made. And the subject at hand is We Got the Beat. And it goes a little something like this. The Go-Go's, We Got the Beat, written by Charlotte Cathy, produced by Richard Gottehrer and Rob Freeman, single from the album Beauty and the Beat, IRS Records, 1982. The glass ceiling. It's an odd phrase, isn't it? It seems to imply something frail and fragile, delicate, something to handle with care, something easily broken, easily damaged, easily breached. Instead, it's used to describe an invisible barrier that is often nearly impenetrable, impregnable, bulletproof. An unseen barricade that blocks advancement, halts upward progress, and prevents certain people, especially minorities, and most especially women, from achieving heights above their presumed station. Glass ceiling is a bad thing. Rock and roll used to have a glass ceiling. It was broken for the first time in 1981. It was broken by the Go-Go's. There had been smash hit girl groups before the Go-Go's. There had been tough female solo singers, and there had been women participating in and occasionally leading rock and roll groups that were otherwise mostly male. from the Shirelles and the Ronettes, through Dusty Springfield, Aretha Franklin, and Janis Joplin, and through Jefferson Airplane, Blondie, the Patti Smith Group, Heart, and the Pretenders. There have been many female performers who succeeded in establishing themselves as pop music success stories. There had even been some self-contained all-female groups to make a grab at the brass ring. Fanny tried and failed. And the same was true of the Runaways. In Syracuse, there was a late 70s all-female quintet called the Pop-Tarts, whose own look and girl groups meet the Beatles sound presaged the visual and audio of the Go-Go's. The Pop-Tarts deserved a much better fate, but they didn't even get as far as Fanny or the Runaways. The Go-Go's succeeded. A #1 debut album, Pop Idolatry, as the first self-contained female act in history to accomplish all of this, and to do so with material almost entirely written by members of the band. The Go-Go's deserve far more recognition than they ever get. And they deserve acclaim, not just for cracking rock and roll's glass ceiling. They deserve it for creating a body of work that is shimmering, incandescent, irresistible pop music. Pop music that should be played with hearts and stereos all turned up loud and proud. Joyous testimony that, yes, indeed, we got the beat. I've never understood why everyone doesn't list the Go-Go's among his or her all-time favorites. I get matters of taste, I do. I just don't understand how anyone could fail to love the Go-Go's. We Got the Beat was their first single, a demo recording released in England on the Stiff Records label circa 1980. The Go-Go's re-recorded it for their debut album, Beauty and the Beat, and the new version became their biggest ever hit, a #2 smash in Billboard. In either version, and both have individual points to recommend, it remains their signature tune. More so than either Our Lips Are Sealed and Vacation. As sublime as those two tracks were, it's difficult to compete with We Got the Beat as a simple, uncluttered statement of intent. Achievement through possession of the beat. It's not a joke. It's the spiritual descendant of the Dixie Cups Iko Iko and the Shangri-La's sophisticated boom boom, crossed with the do-it-yourself spunk of the Ramones, done up with guitars, bass, and beating drums. Context matters. There was no reason to separate the flair of the Go-Go's and their colorful image from the snappin', poppin' records they made. Their neo-60s new wave style could be seen and heard, and its palpable beat broke through things that needed breaking. Boys with guitars were fine. Girls with guitars were just as fine. The Go-Go's never pandered, never pouted or preened. Their de facto feminism was almost incidental, a fait accompli. Their popular triumph, a vindication of the radical notion that girls could rock and roll. Even though the Go-Go's had shed all but the merest trace of their own punk background by the time they hit the Hot 100, their success further reinforced the merit of punk as pop. And although their specific place in history is because they were the first female combo to accomplish what they did, we still play their records now because they are tremendously engaging rock and pop records, regardless of the gender of its players. They got the beat all right. When glass breaks, it shatters. The shattered glass can leave jagged, dangerous shards, hazards for those who venture too close to the debris. But when a glass ceiling finally breaks, it collapses into dust. And we look up and wonder why anything so insubstantial could have ever stopped us in the first place. A glass ceiling could not possibly survive the onslaught, the beat of the Go-Go's. We got it. Thank you for joining me this week for the greatest record ever made. Below, you will see options to tip and support and subscribe. I'll include a link to the published version of this Go-Go's chapter in the book. And I hope we'll see you next week again for the greatest record ever made.